if that worked or not. Not sure anybody saw that, but that was my intro video. I'm gonna try to get that to work, the right way, where you can hear it. There's sound. There's nice graphics, video playing. Robin said it did. Very fancy. Thank you, Robin. I feel fancy about that video. I don't know. Yeah, well, I know, Adam. I think it was because it was coming through my my microphone rather than going actually like into the little. I don't know. Whatever. We'll figure it out. I'm using a bunch of tech right here, and my tech team, whom you can see standing behind me, all of them, they're offering no help whatsoever to get this stuff to work. But hey, you know what? The most important point is that you can see me, you can hear me. I hope I sound okay. I got a little bit of a throat thing going on. No, it's not technical issues, Adam. It's more like just technical stupidity. I will figure this out. I was a tech guy for a long time. The problem is stuff moves at the speed of light in tech world, and what used to work back then doesn't work back now. But that's okay. We got people watching. We got people joining in. I would love for you to drop in and say hello. Let us know where you're from, Joan. Once again, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. This is going to be a good day. You excited? I'm excited. We're going live. I'm literally right here. I am in my secret bunker in an undisclosed location. John Patterson, what is up, my friend? You missed a good night last night. I was hanging out with your bud, Kevin Anderson. I see you saw that on Facebook. Good times. Well, we will... drop in if you're just joining us. Like what we do is just kind of talk for a couple minutes. Well, sorry, I talk for a couple. I don't know what you guys do. I talk for a couple minutes because I can't hear you. That's the way it's supposed to be. And then we're gonna jump right in because we've got a pretty good, I think, topic. We're talking about planning an author career. This is an interesting one because I spent a lot of time building this presentation today just because. There's just so much that we can get into. So what I had, it took a long time to really kind of I just basically threw all the thoughts out, throw the spaghetti at the wall kind of thing. Here's how I feel about this. And then I just had to cull it down and down and down. And so what I hope is that you'll get at least something from this that's helpful, if not inspiring, to go do something that is going to push your career forward. Because again, the whole point of this group, if you're joining us and you've never seen my face before, get used to it. But no, we are in Book Career in a Year, and that is my company, my nonfiction stuff, I guess you could say. So, courses, books, live streams like this, coaching. There's all kinds of stuff that I'm putting together with the team, and we're coming at you real hot with one goal, and that is to level you up in your author career specifically. So putting this talk together was a big task because I just can't cover it all. There's just not enough time. So I'm trying to give you both a high-level overview, and you know me, I'm going to give you a framework because I love me some frameworks, and then some practical tips and some help. And I have a tool as well that I use, that I've been using. I haven't used it for very long in this iteration, but I've used something similar for a long time. So hopefully that helps. But going back to what I was saying before, say hello. I can see there's a handful of you out there. We're waiting for the other 20 million to jump in, but they'll be here. Don't worry. We're not going to wait for them. But tell me where you're from. Tell us where you're from. Say hello. Jump into the live chat. And the rules are very simple. If you have a question as I go, drop it in. If I see it and it's something that I can answer and it's relevant, to that time, I'll try to just answer it on the spot. And if not, I'll try to go back after and answer it then. If I don't get to it in this live call, in this live stream, then what I will do is throughout the day, the next day, I will try to get on Facebook and see your comment, see your question, and answer it then with my little fingers. If you're watching this from YouTube, or you're watching this from Instagram, or you're watching this from my Facebook page, thank you. You're in the wrong spot. No, you're not in the wrong spot. I'm just trying to multi-stream to all these places to kind of capture you. But I'd love for you to go join us over at bookcareerinayear.com, or specifically the Facebook group. That's sort of the home base for all these live streams, at least for now. And it's probably the easiest way to get everybody on the same page, literally on the same page on the Facebook page. That's literally in the same group on the Facebook group. That's what I meant. Yeah, so Joan has a question before we even jump in. She's an author and a writing coach. You've got courses and coaching. Congratulations. You're finding it a challenge to balance both businesses. I'm assuming you mean the fiction side and then the writing coach. Any suggestions? Yeah, it's hard. I'm doing the same thing, Joan, and it's hard. I think the biggest takeaway I've got is finding. We're going to talk about it today too. It's finding clarity. It's really just understanding not what I want to do, okay, but who do I want to become? And this sounds like it might, be this what's the right word? What's the word I'm trying to think of? I don't know. Whatever. I'm an author. I can't think of words. It's a balance that you have to constantly be working to balance, I guess. There is no work-life balance is what I'm saying. There's no, okay, this many hours and over here and this many hours over here. It's really like this week I need to do this in order to become this person down the road. And this week I need to do this on this business side before I can become this person down the road, right? I know that sounds tongue-in-cheek because, oh yeah, we all know about work-life balance, but hear me. None of that can happen until you've figured out who you want to become. Okay, it's not about what you're going to do. Oh, I'm going to be $1 million best-selling author. Great. Who do you want to become? Right. That's a different question. Sometimes a different answer. But getting into that clarity is really the secret. There's no secrets, but that's really the secret. Anyway, we're going to talk about some of that. We're going to get into some of this. I hope that's helpful. I hope this. Not talking to just Joan now. I'm talking to everyone. I hope this serves you. But again, drop your comments, drop your questions, whatever the thing is that you're thinking. Let's make this a conversation, right? Rather than just a one-way street. So drop stuff in and let me know how you're feeling as we go. All right. Been a few minutes. We're going to jump in and get started. I have got a lot of stuff to cover. Hopefully we can do it all. But we're talking about building an author plan. Okay. So I'm going to clarify that a little bit before we go, because again, I love clarity. And I always like to start with definitions because I could be talking about something that you define a whole different way. That's totally fine. But for the sake of a conversation, we need to know what the definitions we are bringing to the table are, right? So for me, when I say author, when I say building an author plan, and I'm talking about an author, I'm not talking about nonfiction. I'm not talking about poetry. I'm not talking about literary fiction. I'm not talking about memoir. I don't know how to do any of those things, right? I'm talking about genre fiction, commercial fiction. So sci-fi, fantasy, thriller, mystery, detective, crime, whatever you want to put in that bucket. That is what I consider genre fiction. Commercial fiction is what they used to call it back in the good old days. It doesn't mean that the other stuff is invalid. I just don't know how to do it. I don't know how to teach it. And I'm here. Book Career in a Year is really about building an author career in genre fiction. Okay, fair? All right, cool. So that's the first definition. And I say plan, to define plan, I'm talking about a multi-step roadmap to get from where you are now to, there's something on my eyebrow, really weird. Hope you don't see that. To get to some place that you want to be. Okay, so literally leveling up. Robin says all books are genre. Yeah, I'm saying, I think I don't really know what you're saying there. Yeah, literary fiction though usually is not considered genre fiction according to some old school traditional publishing group, people what. I've heard them broken out, and so I'm breaking them out from literary fiction, the stuff that they try to sell spine out at the front of Barnes and Noble, as opposed to mystery, thriller, detective. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about there. So again, my definition, what we're talking about today, genre fiction, which is not literary, poetry, memoir, all that kind of stuff. Yes, those are a genre called poetry, memoir, literary fiction. But when I say genre fiction or commercial fiction, I'm talking about not that stuff. Cool. Okay, so first of all, here's what happens when we're talking about author careers. A lot of times, I'm gonna tell you my story. If you haven't heard it, it's not that great, but it's mine. When we get started, when we do this stuff, when we start writing books and we start publishing books and we start selling stuff, we often do what feels right in the moment. Okay, a moment could be in an instant or a week's worth of time. We've done some research, we've gone to a conference, whatever it is. We start doing those things that we think are right. Of course, right? Because we're smart people and we're intelligent, we're intellectuals. We can do things to advance our careers. And we just start doing those things because they feel right. Oh, I heard I had to start a mailing list. Great, let me start a mailing list right now. Oh, I heard that I have to write genre fiction. Okay, let me double down on that. Let me start writing more. Oh, I heard I need a website. All right, let me go figure out how to build a website. Right? All of these things are good things, but it doesn't mean it's the right thing at the right time. Okay, and that's kind of where we're going to go with this talk is getting into the planning side. You got to be doing the right things at the right time. Now, I'm going to skip to the end here in case you just want to leave and go about your day, and I'm going to make you mad. But I don't know what's right for you at this time. All I can say is here's how I approach it. I'm going back to frameworks here. Here's how I got a framework for it. Here's what I think about. Here's what I'm doing. I hope that it'll serve you to be able to build your own plan, meaning to figure out what's right for you at this time, and going forward, trying to guess what's right for you at those times, right? So like, hey, I know I need a website, but I don't need a website right now. I need to write a book right now. Okay, boom, put on the plan, right? But website needs to get done. So when does that happen? That's author planning. That's making sure your career happens at the time frame you set, right? You plan this stuff out. That's literally why we're talking about this. So let's step back, right? I told you I was going to tell you my story. I launched my author career. I shouldn't even say launch because it was like not quite a rocket, right? Still isn't. But I started my author career totally on accident. I'm not going to get into the details. You can go find interviews and stuff with me if you want. But I wrote a book for my dad. That was basically what I mean, not basically, it's literally what I did. I was like, oh, my granddad passed away. We always used to trade paperbacks in thriller genre. How hard can it be? I'm going to write a book. I'm smart, Totally naive. Bit off way more than I could chew. It was an accident. I had no idea what the next right step was at any point in my career early on. I didn't know, obviously I didn't have a plan. I had no idea what the plan was other than, I guess, let's see if people want to buy it. Let's see if somebody wants to get it from Amazon. I had no idea what Kindle was at the time. So naturally over the years, as I wrote more and more books, I started to try anything and everything. I would go to those conferences. I would go to, or do online events and listen to, I'd read all the books about this stuff to try to understand what do I need to do next. And of course I would take all that stuff. You know what it's like. You go to a conference, all the notes in your notebook and you're drinking from the fire hose, right? And then you get home the next 2 weeks and you're like, oh my God, I have to do so much crap. And I did that. And I would try to do all this stuff and I'd get burned out and I'd come back to it and it just kind of pittered and puttered away, sputtered, whatever the word is, toward my author career. The reason it didn't do anything, the reason it took me so long to get to the point where I was regularly selling books and making a decent income, was that I was trying to do all these things at once. I didn't have a plan. I would have mixed results, right? So I would build a list and people would sign up and I would, okay, well, cool. Let me focus on that more and forget about the thing that I also knew that I was supposed to do. And it never really took off until recently, right? It never really took off until much later. And then only recently did I start to really dive into this clarity stuff, to really figure out, well, man, forget forget what do I want to do? Who do I want to become, right? Who do I want to be, right? Forget doing. I need to do things, obviously, to advance my career, yes. But before I can even do that, I need to figure out and define and take real time. I'm talking hours, days, not minutes, and figure out who do I want to be, right? When people talk about me 50 years from now, the legacy, who do I want to be? Who do I want them to say I was? Hopefully I'm still alive then. Will only be, no, I don't want to do the math. Whatever. The point is, I think this is really important work. And when you hear me say important, I want you to also hear this. It's challenging work. Okay? It sounds so easy at first to think, okay, well, I want to be a successful author. Great, done. All right, next task, Nick, what you got for me? How do I build a plan? Hold on. What does that mean? Remember, I started this talk with definitions. So you need to come up with your own definitions. When you say successful, what do you mean? I'm talking numbers. I'm talking brass tacks. I'm talking time. I'm talking energy. I'm talking commitment. What does that mean? When you say successful author, you making money? Okay, what does that look like? How much money? Yearly, monthly, weekly? What does that look like? You're running ads? You have a team running ads? You have a team doing other stuff? Figure that stuff out. Now, you can dream a little bit. That's the whole point of this process, right? What does it look like 10 years down the road, Do you have a team of 30 people working for you? Or do you really like just working alone because you don't have anyone to answer to? Right? If you've ever run a team, you know that just because you're the boss on paper doesn't mean that you're actually the boss. That they're all the boss of you. Your time is no longer your own, right? So there's some value to doing all this stuff on your own. Okay, so let me give you some examples of this, right? I have some very, very clear examples of what this looks like for me personally. And I'm going to talk fiction, okay? Just my fiction side. I have the same thing for this thing over here, which is nonfiction, book career in a year, all the stuff that we're doing right now. This is a whole different career, right? I bit off another full-time job because I didn't have enough. And I have the same sort of things going on for book career in a year. But for right now, because you're authors, you're writing fiction, I want to give you my fiction side, okay? So for me, here's what I decided I wanted to become. And all of this is broken down into the things I wanted to do. And here's how I describe it. I make a living, and don't worry, I'm going to clarify these, again, with definitions. One, I make a living. Two, I'm writing genre fiction. Except for Robin, I think you guys all understand what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, I'm just kidding, Robin. I write genre fiction that entertains readers. And four, makes them think. Those are my big four. I make a living, I write genre fiction, entertains readers, and it makes them think. Those are my big four, okay? That also implies, but I didn't want to leave it up to implication, that there are things that I've specifically said I don't do, right? So one, I don't write as a hobby. This is not a hobby for me. I don't write literature, poetry, memoir, etc., right? Because that's not genre fiction by definition. I don't write to inform, to educate, to activate. I'm not an activist. I don't want to be. I don't write for Hollywood. I'm not looking to write so that some script writer will pick it up. That's a bonus, right? But that is not part of my plan. I don't write for Amazon. I'm not chasing trends. I'm not going and looking at what, sparkly vampires are doing right now and trying to write to that. Okay, none of that means I'm ignoring that stuff going on. I'm not going to say no to somebody who asked to option my book. I'm not going to go ignore a trend in thrillers because that's my genre. But the point is, there are takeaways here. And for me, I want to make a living, which means I'm working toward making money. I'm not going to be afraid of money. I'm not going to let it run my life, but I'm going to work toward making more of it because that's a good metric for me. I've determined to decide, am I working the plan, okay? Two, it means I have a defined genre that I write in, okay? I said genre fiction, but specifically, I write thrillers, and I'm going to only approach anything outside of that as a test, as an experiment, as a hobby even. Like I said, I'm not writing as a hobby, but anything I want to test on the side, it's not part of my core business in fiction. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm writing thrillers. I can go dabble in sci-fi, but I need to approach it as if I'm a new author with a new pen name and figure out where it fits in my plan, if at all. Because my core business, what I've determined who I want to be, is a thriller author, okay? It also means that I will overlook an opportunity, meaning I'll say no, to write something that teaches in favor of writing something that's fun to read. And now I wrote that kind of late at night one night. What I really mean is I'm not going to go write an academic textbook, okay, on physics, but I will use physics in my book. I don't want to get bogged down in the details of research to make sure the physics is mathematically accurate, scientifically accurate. I'll do my best and then I'll move on because my point is to entertain. My point is for books to be fun to read, not to be dense textbooks. That's what that one means. And then finally, I'm thinking long term here. So I don't want to chase a trend because what do trends do? Well, they go up in smoke. They're vaporware. They disappear. So while trends can make you money, I'm thinking long term here. I'm thinking 10 years from now, I want to be writing the same style of books. Yeah, I'm going to be doing different stuff. And maybe, we don't have a president anymore and we've got a, committee. So I'll use that in the book instead. But the point is, I'm not following those trends daily. I'm not really worried too much about what a certain trend is. Okay. This was mine, folks. This is just me. Okay. I don't expect you to have any of the same four or, it could be more or less things. But the point is, before I can even plan what's next in my author career, I need to know very, very clearly, who am I? Who do I want to become? And then once we do that, how do I get there by what do I do? Okay. And I just gave you some examples of how to break all that stuff out. If you're just jumping in, thank you. You can listen to the recording. It should be posted right away by Facebook afterward. I just gave my example of how I approach my career, how I look at this stuff. And then I want to go now. I want to shift a little bit into how to come up with a plan for all the stuff that you've already decided. Okay, so if you missed it, go listen to it after, because I don't want you to get left behind. But I got to move on. So once you have that clarity, you can make a plan. The question is, how do you do it? How should you plan your author career? Well, I don't know how you should do it, but I'm going to tell you how I do it, and maybe this will be helpful to you. First, you got to decide the priority. Okay, and again, like all my talks, all my presentations, this stuff is going to sound super duper counterintuitive or super duper obvious, not counterintuitive, super duper obvious. But I'm moving some windows around so I can see everything. There is more than meets the eye. Okay. This stuff sounds very simple. I hope I'm still I lost everybody here. Okay. Nope, I'm back. Great. So decide the priority. This sounds very simple, but it's actually a little bit more complicated because the word priority, I believe it was Greek originally. I don't know. But it's a singular word. Okay. So when I see a list of priorities, I know that there's not a priority. You can't have more than one. That you can't have 5 priorities. Okay. Your priority has to be singular. Okay. And so, where am I at? So what we do is we end up taking a certain path. Instead of choosing a path. Because we don't have one priority, we end up chasing some other stuff. We end up just, okay, well, this happened. I got this opportunity I said yes to. That's great. All of this can be really good and make us very successful. But it's not the priority that we chose. Okay, so once we've got the clarity of who we want to become, we need to figure out what our priority is, and then we can choose a path to get us there. Okay. Kelly said, oh my God, there's no way I could run this publishing business with only one priority. Yeah, you can. Your priority needs to be something like, we're going to sell books to readers in this genre, and we're going to do it this way. And then everything you do filters down to that priority. So I'm making this symbol. This is a mount, not a pyramid scheme. This is a mountain, right? Neil Gaiman's commencement speech, I always talk about, it's such a great way to think about it. Does this move you closer to your mountain, or does it move you away from it, right? Or if it just doesn't cause you to do anything, it's moving you away from it. So if you think of your priority as that peak of the mountain, that's how you set one priority. Okay, now, I'm not saying that you can't have a priority for the week or for the day. I think you should. You should have 3 big tasks that you try to chomp off at the, all that stuff is still true, but that's more productivity, right? So here's my main priority. Okay, well, I finished that one. Here's my next one for the day. Here's my next one. They're still singular priorities, right? But your big one, the big priority that's going to lead you to who you want to become, needs to be very singular, and it needs to be very, 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 very clear. That's all I'm trying to say, okay? The point is, you need to set the priority. I've talked to so many authors. This has happened to me. The universe tries to give this to me every single day, it seems like, but I'm finally fighting back. But what happens is we just sort of allow the world to set priorities for us, right? To set our priority for us. The world says, here's who you're going to be. Well, you got this degree. You made these decisions. Sorry, I'm very burpy today. You made these decisions, and you're doing this, and this is what your lifestyle is like, and so therefore this has to be our priority. And you look back and you're like, well, actually, I don't want that to be my priority. I never chose that. We can't let that happen to us. We have to try our best to choose and move on a path that gets us to that choice. Okay. So you can set your priority based on questions like this. What do you want? Well, let me do it in first person. What do I want my author career to look like? Why do I want a successful author career? And what does success mean? So these are kind of the same questions that I was asking before. I'm going to repeat those because I think they're important, and I would recommend writing them down. There's something active about writing. I'm not talking about typing. Literally get a journal. Even if you're not a journal person, just do it because I told you to, okay? What do I want my author career to look like? This is where you dream, right? Well, okay, I don't know, a bunch of money, piles of money, floating down a river of cash. Why do I want a successful author career? Why is the money important, basically? If it's money for the first question, that's what I'm saying. If it's family, if it's freedom, whatever, why are those things important? Why do I want a successful author career? And then third, what does success mean? And you can answer these in any order, right? If you want to define success first and then, go the other way, whatever. So you decide the priority, okay? These questions help you clarify that priority, that who you want to be question. The second thing that I like to do is to understand and, if I need to, raise the necessity. This is a Brendan Burchard term. He's a great, great coach, whatever. But understanding and raising the necessity, what this is essentially just taking a deeper dive into your priority, into who you want to be. And the reason it's important is a lot of times we just sort of know what we want to do, but we've never really thought about why we want to do that thing, right? We know what a successful author looks like because I can look at 5 of them and say, well, that's what it's, okay, that's what I want. I've never stopped to ask myself, well, why do I want that? Well, that guy lives in, Las Vegas, or that guy lives in, Alaska, and you can know who I'm talking about with these 2 people. Do I want those things? Do I want to be, okay, well, no, then I haven't really done the work of asking myself what is successful about them that I want. Okay. Those are just 2 examples out of many, but the point is you have to understand why your success as an author is important. You have to ask what your life will look like when you achieve this. Okay. And when I say when, I mean when. I'm not talking if here. This is not the time for ifs and buts, right? It's the time for you affirming this priority and who you want to be so that you can build a plan to get there. And the only way to do that is to really hack your brain into saying when I achieve X, this is what my life will look like. Super important question, okay? And then third, this is also a question we often forget to ask. What happens if you fail? Okay, not when you fail. We're back to ifs now. What happens if you fail? Because you need to understand that just this stuff may not work, right? And we need to talk ourselves we need to hype ourselves up into the idea that failing at a specific thing does not make you a failure. How many entrepreneurs do you know who have failed 1,000 times before the business worked? That's what I'm talking about here. Maybe this book didn't do what you expected it to do based on the plan that we're going to make in a second. Great. Move on. You are not a failure. That book just didn't meet your expectations. I wouldn't even say that that's a failure. I do think there are failures. I think it's totally fine to fail at something. I have no problem with that. We don't need to live in a world where nobody's a failure, everybody's a success, because that's just not true, okay? And it's not going to help you. That is not going to serve you. Failures are real, and you are allowed to fail, okay? Both of those can be true. So the question is, how do you raise the necessity by looking at failure? Well, okay, if this doesn't work, am I on the right path here, right? If I launched 5 books and I didn't make any money from them, we got to kind of take a step back here and rework the plan because maybe we're not as good of a writer as we hoped or thought, okay? So anyway, I'm seeing some questions. It's okay. I'll wait till the end because I'm not sure what some people are responding to. But I see. Okay, never mind. Yeah, we'll keep going. All right, so we've talked about you decide the priority, you understand, raise the necessity. I promise we're gonna get to the plan. But again, these are not what you think they are. So we're not gonna be like, hey, here, just write a couple tasks and hope for the best and write more books. Okay, the third thing that's really important is to turn subjective into objective. Okay, in other words, you take these strategic things that we're going to put on a calendar in just a second, and you figure out how to make them tactical things. Okay, now we all know how to do this. We've all worked for somebody who's like, all right, so here's the goal, here's how we're going to get there. And that great visionary CEO, leader, whoever is saying, all right, here's how we're going to do it. And then it's your job to figure out how to break that goal, that vision down into its requisite parts, its projects, its tasks, its assignments, right? This is getting things done 101. This is Stephen Covey 101. We're not going to talk about that because, again, that's more productivity. But when we're building a plan, we have to be able to take the subjective, this success, the priority, and turn it into objective. Okay, great. We want to make $30,000 this year as an author. Wonderful. How do we do that? Okay. What is going to take me there? Well, I know that 20 books to 50K mentality is if you write 20 books, you can make 50K. So I'm gonna say I can do 15 books in the next 2 years. And I'm hoping that'll get me to 30K. Great. You've just made a subjective goal objective. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but the point is now you can start building a plan that should get you there. And again, you are free to change the plan as you go. But if you don't have one to begin with, you're just guessing, you're throwing spaghetti at the wall, Guys, there ain't enough time in the day to be able to do that. You can't do all those things well. How many people try starting a TikTok, starting an Instagram, starting a Snapple Doodle, starting a Facebook page or whatever the thing is, and you're just going to do all of them. You're going to be a social media, god or goddess, and overnight, and it just doesn't work. There's not enough time. There's too many damn people in the world, and they're all doing too much stuff, so you can't keep up unless you focus on one or two things, right? And I would say one thing, that priority, the mountain. Here we go, not the pyramid scheme, the mountain. We making sense so far? Okay, subjectivity needs to become objectivity when we're building a plan. We have to turn the nebulous into tangible. We got to turn the vague into tasks. We got to turn this ethereal kind of vapory plan into a hard, actual project task-based system that you can implement step by step, linearly, chronologically, I should say. That means on a calendar, okay? I kind of said it already, but you don't have to be perfect. I think we often, I don't know if it's the creative in us or the fear in us or the imposter syndrome in us, but we have to figure out how to let go of the idea that there's a perfect plan for us. There's not, and these things will change. What we end up doing, though, is if we don't have the objectivity laid out in a way, I'm talking years in advance or at least a year in advance, that's what we're going to talk about next. If we don't have that laid out objectively, what happens is the very first thing we talked about, which is we let life, the universe, God, our family, whatever it is, tell us what the priority is and tell us what the plan is. And I'm not saying we shouldn't listen to God or our family. Those are important, facets of our lives. The universe is going to play a role no matter what, right? But if we haven't done the work to determine our objective plan, we're doing someone else's plan. Inevitably, we're going to be on some path that's not our own, okay? And it's so important to just let yourself have an imperfect plan, knowing that it's going to change, knowing that some of the things won't work. You are not a failure by having a couple different things fail, okay? So this is the whole point. All this I can encapsulate by the idea of ends goals versus means goals. This big plan, this point at the top of the mountain, the peak, that's the end goal. That's what we want. All of the things that lead us there are the means goals. And if one of those means doesn't work, pick a new one that you think will bring you closer to your end goal. That's all this is, okay? So planning is really just coming down to like, hey, I've done the hard work, the clarity work to figure out who I want to be, and that looks like I have to do this and this and this, and those this and this and this become the subjective tasks, which we have to translate into objective tasks, which we can then put on a calendar. And then so anything of those little ones that doesn't work, let them fail. Pick a new one. Oh, that book didn't launch or that genre didn't work the way it was, the way that I thought. Pivot. Do something different. Remember Ross Geller? Pivot. Do that thing and change and just go a different direction because you can still get to your end goal if your means goals have to change. Okay. Anyway, so the last thing, and here's some of the practical stuff I'll leave you with. I know we're only half an hour into it, so there'll be plenty of time for questions, folks. Plans take time. Building an author career takes lots of time. And so we can often, I'm saying like people like me, we can often plan the next day, the next week, the next month sometimes pretty well. We know the trip's coming up in the next few months. We know the vacation time. We know the weekend plans. We know our friends are doing this or that. So that's not hard to look into the future that close in the future, right? And say, okay, well, I know what I'm doing tomorrow. I got this live stream I got to do, so probably should wake up before that. and I got my energy drink, I can plan out tomorrow really, really well. I can usually plan out next week pretty well. I can sometimes plan out next month pretty well. But we need an author plan that's a year from now. Okay? We need an author plan that's 2 years from now, 5 years. Again, it's going to feel more nebulous when you're looking at 10 years out because we don't know what our life's going to look like, where our kids are going to be, or if we're going to have kids or whatever. All of that, I get it. And that's why we end up not putting anything down on paper. I want to just kind of rework that a little bit and kind of rejigger your mind, I guess, into just saying, I'm okay having a perfect plan or an imperfect plan. When I look 10 years from now, I don't think this is going to be 100% accurate. It may not even be 50% accurate, but I have the plan. Okay, if nothing changed, this is where I'll be in 10 years. Have that in mind. Have it written down. Have it set as much as you can, and know that it will change, and be okay with that. That's really the secret to long-term planning, right? David says he doesn't plan 10 years out because I'm 76. I'm so sorry. Oh my God, that's I don't even know what to say. You still can, man. 86 years old. That's like the new 35. I hear. I certainly feel 86 most days. Yeah. So the point is, though, here's how I do this. I take that stuff, trying to make the subjective objective, trying to put it down into projects that can look like a book, that can look like a genre that you're trying to launch, that can look like the website, whatever that thing is. You put that into projects, big projects usually, and then you just break those down, and you know how to do that. You don't need my help to do that, but you put that big project on the calendar at some point in the future. Okay. We don't need to set this in stone. As I said, we do need to start thinking about it, though. We need to think about those big career-changing tasks and projects that we've determined are important. So this is where you go back to that fire hose, of information, of knowledge you glean from a conference or from these kind of talks. You got a notebook full of this stuff. You've done the dreaming. You've done the hard work of figuring out what you should be doing as an author. This process, once you've gone through all the things I've said, the clarity, the objectivity, all that, then you can make a plan and go to that well of information and knowledge that you already have, most likely, and decide where this is going to fit. The reason it's important to do it in this order, though, and we don't do it in this order, and the reason it's important is when we just look at that journal, that notebook, whatever the collection system we have for organizing or not organizing, all of those things we know we should be doing, they all look the same. They all look like priorities. They have the same impact, the same weight. You go hear Mal Cooper talk about Facebook ads. You're like, I got to really figure the Facebook ads out. Yeah, probably should. Then you go hear someone talk about, building a website. You're like, I really should work on the website. Yeah, you should. So that goes in the notebook. Then you go hear Michael Anderle talk about writing 1,000 books every 10 minutes. And you're like, I should probably figure out how to do that. Yeah, you probably should, right? So there's all these things sound like they're just as important as everything else. But if you go through this process in this order, it's almost like a reverse order, then you realize they're not as important as everything else because they may not be right for you in this moment. And you can only build an author plan if you know where you are because you've clarified it, you've defined it, you know what success looks like, even in your wildest dreams. Go ahead and dream. I'm giving you permission to do that. And then you've distilled all that down into objective projects like, I need to build my online platform. Great. Well, that means website. That means social media. Okay, great. Well, each of those is a big thing. Email list, so there's, at least 3 big things here that should be part of this big project. I'm going to put that on a calendar 6 months from now because I know that I'm going to have X amount of time to be able to work on one of these at a time. And it may take 3 months. I'm going to do email. I'm going to build an email list for this month. I'm going to build my my website the next month, and I'm going to build my social media platforms the third month. Great. Okay, that's a plan. Now we're starting to get somewhere, right? And we got to do this with all of these individual projects in our, brains. Or I keep going like this, like there's a journal here. I don't have a journal with me, but you use a computer app. I use Day One. I got journals like out the wazoo over here. The point is you've got something like that where you've collected all these ideas and things that you think are important. Okay. Here's the trick or the hack that I will leave you with, and it's a free tool. I picked it up for free myself. I didn't make this, but I've been using this. I believe it's going to be a game changer for me. Like I said, I'm new to this. I've been planning out years in advance for a while, so I know that works. But this tool helps see it all, okay? I'll drop the link in. Robin says, get the journal. Yeah, you trust me, you don't want that. There's like a stack of them. This tool is essentially a calendar that just shows every day in a month in a column. And then the columns left to right are, or I guess you just like this, right? Oh, no, it worked. Okay, it switched it around for me. Never mind. The columns are the months of the year. This sounds super, super simple. But when you see it and you like color code the weekends, you can kind of see all of a sudden like, oh, the year's like already kind of full. There's already stuff on here, like our kids are doing this and we got a camping trip coming up and we're going to Massachusetts, whatever the thing is. And you can see this stuff on there. And then if you add like a second year, you start to see, wow, okay, there's not really a lot of time for this stuff. This is why we need to know what projects are important. So I'll give you this. It's a Google sheet. which is a spreadsheet. It's very, very easy to use. There's instructions on the first page. You just make a copy of it. You can keep it totally free. It's yours. But I recommend trying this out. Go step by step through what I told you to do, and just figure out your success. What does that look like? Define it. What are the subjective things you should be doing? Generally getting better at social media is subjective. Cool. Make it objective. How do you do that? And then take that and put it on a calendar that you can see the whole year at a glance, or at least 6 months. I think that it's one page you can print out. It's 6 months at a time. You can see every single day for 6 months. Stick it on there. Commit to doing that. It's going to change. Don't worry. It's going to have to move around a little bit. It's going to be squishy, but just get out of that headspace and just know that it's on the calendar, which means, man, I'm going to get it done. Now I know I'm going to have to build this email platform. I need to write these autoresponder emails. I need to go build a social media plan. I need to figure out how I'm going to do that. Oh, I want 10,000 subscribers in 6 months. How are you going to do it? Author, huh? You should have other tools to be able to do that. If you don't, I've got a free course, an email course, 20 weeks. Well, I'll teach you how to do social media. Go sign up for that. Bookcareerinayear.com. I didn't even know I was going to talk about that. But the point is, you can find these technologies, tools, tricks, tips, whatever T word you want. You can go find that stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, you know how to find that stuff. Now figure out which one of those things you need to do and when, and stick it on that calendar and start to build your author plan. Okay, start to build that out 2 years into the future, 3 years into the future. Know it's going to change. Know that it's going to be, hard to hit every single deadline at the same time, that you scheduled it for. But I'm giving you the freedom to move those things around. But just get them on the calendar. Get them written down on something you can see at a glance. Kelly asked, where is that? Don't make me create something else to organize myself. No, I won't. This is very, very simple. I will, here, let me see if I can. I got it pulled up here. Yeah, I will just link you directly to the Google Sheet. It's dropping into the comments, coming at you in 3, 2, boom. There it is. Probably actually showed up before I even counted down. So there you go. Bonus. So you'll need to sign in to Google Sheets. Google, if you don't have a Google account, you should have a Google account. It's 2023, people. Get a Google account. But this is totally free. You'll just see a spreadsheet that has nice, pretty columns for all the months and all the days in each column. And you just start putting stuff in it, right? So this date to this date is going to be build a website, whatever that is. I hope that's helpful. I hope that serves you. But anyway, let's see. I am seeing some comments here. No, shut up, Nick. Hold on. Wow, that's not helpful. So that's it. I just want to leave you with that, right? Like the last step is to put your plan in place. All these things you've decided to do because you know they're the right thing for you at this time, or they will be at that time. Put it on your calendar, and then you can break them out into projects and tasks. And that's not what this is about, because that's just productivity 101. You have a way to do that you think is, that is helpful for you. So I'm going to do my best to answer some comments here. I'll see if I can see them. MJ Khan says, do you think it's difficult to make a hard and fast plan for 1 to 3 years out? Yeah, first of all, yes, I do. I think it's hard. There is so much that we have to be nimble around, things that we can't control about our environment. Who knows what Amazon or any platform will do that could derail us? Yeah, listen, it is hard. Actually, I'm going to say this. I had a band director that was really helpful in high school. He said, it's not hard, it's challenging. I love that. I know it's semantics. It could sound like that, but it really is. Hard is like, I probably can't do it. Challenging is like, bring it on. I love a challenge. Let's do it. So it's challenging, MJ. It's not hard. Yet I'm telling you, things will change. Amazon may not be here in 5 years. I'm not predicting anything. I'm just saying we can't write a plan that is specific to a platform. We can just say we're going to do things that will build my own platform. And what I mean by that is, taking your example, who knows if Amazon or any platform, what they will do. Great. Let's make a plan for 3 years out that says I'm going to have X amount of books and they will be sold for a average to high price. Because again, that may change too, right? If right now I sell a lot of my books at $6.99, that's kind of on the average to high side. Maybe the world gets more expensive and that becomes $9.99. So I'm not going to say $6.99 in my plan. I'm going to say an average to high price, because I want to make sure that the plan will still work as much as possible by putting a range there. Does that make sense? So I do that with everything. So Amazon may not be here, but People will still buy books. I believe that. So I don't know where the books will be sold when Amazon goes under, but I'm just going to put in the plan. Go sign up for the new platform, or I shouldn't even say that. Make sure that. Sorry, I'm trying to think in terms of how I would objectively put this on a calendar. I might say something like, "Here's when this book series is done and when it finally comes out," but I won't put it's going to be for sale on Amazon. I'll just put it's going to be for sale. Okay, because I think you know where I'm going with this. Like I'm kind of rambling, but Amazon may not be there. Facebook may not be there. TikTok, I hope, won't be there. So don't put that kind of stuff specifically. I have to start a TikTok account in your plan on your calendar. Just put I have to start a social media account because this is the time block you've determined you're going to start a social media account. I know it's nebulous and I know it sounds like squishy and weird, but there's so much power in at least giving yourself a block of time to do a certain thing that gets you toward that peak. That's really all this is about. And if you get to that, it's 2.5 years from now and there's no TikTok, but you've got on the calendar, put up a TikTok social media account. Well, you're smart enough to figure out like, okay, well, what's the social media du jour, right? Go build that one instead. It doesn't have to be TikTok, doesn't have to be Amazon, but you can put that down and be specific and just let it change. Let it do what it needs to do. Okay, so I think I'm going in order here. Did I actually find how to see all the comments? I did. Woo! Okay, so hope you got the Google Doc. Yep, I got a thumbs up on it. Maya's got it. Hi, Maya. How are you? You'll need to tweak access. Yeah, the first page on there shows how to do that. It just says make a copy, and then you can rename it if you need to, but save it. That way it'll be yours. Like you won't have, no one else will see it. It's your personal stuff. Jess Betts, how you doing? Good to see you. It also goes back to last week's idea of setting intention with your tasks. Oh my God, yes, absolutely. Not only why am I doing this task at this time, or is this the right energy for this task, but also are these the tasks that will lead me closer to the priority I've written down? Absolutely. The whole point of this about building an author plan is to realize we often haven't thought about what that priority should be. We just let it happen to us. We're like, well, I know I need to write a book, so I'm just going to spend all day writing this book. Okay, that's probably not a bad thing to do, right? But is it really the priority because you've clarified your success and what that looks like and how long it'll take to get there, and you've really done the hard work of making that clear? It may not be the priority for you right now in that moment. So yeah, that's a great way to kind of round that out. Need access. Oh, Robin says I have to change the link sharing options. Can't even see it right now. Well, that's dumb. Why? I don't understand. All right, I'm trying to fix it. People restricted general access. Anyone with a link. Okay, try this. Reload the page. People. I think I did. By the way, I hate Google. Stuff like this is so unnerving. Luis says, yeah, I need access. Okay. I'm working on it. I will figure it out if this doesn't work, but I think I changed the access now to open or whatever. So it says anyone with the link can view it. So you should be able to now, I hopefully make a copy, add it to your account, start using it. But it's not that, guys. It's just like, I don't know if I can do a screenshot. I probably can't set it up this quickly. It's literally just columns that say January, February, March, April, May, June, July, and then all the days, 31 up to 31, right? And then the weekends are highlighted, color coded as well. It's pretty, but it's not fancy. There's nothing to it. Cool. So it looks like it works now. Great. Yeah, I'm gonna scan through, make sure I'm not missing anything. But yeah, feel free to drop a question, anything I talked about. I know there's a lot here, right? And I didn't even get into the weeds of each of these things. How do you decide a priority? How do you understand the necessity? But I'm hoping that you can take this and run with it. I'm hoping that this serves you in a way that will let you kind of go forth and conquer in your own career, in your own plan making. Because what I didn't want to do is come at you with everybody has to use the bullet journal method and then write it, because that doesn't work for everybody. You got your own way of doing stuff. If you want to just throw sticky notes on your wall, that would drive me absolutely crazy. But I know people who do that. My friend Ines Johnson loves sticky notes. She's got sticky notes everywhere. She likes stickers, and she doesn't do a new project until she's bought new stickers. Man, that's awesome that she knows that about herself. That would drive me bonkers. I'm not going to do that. So I didn't want to give you a plan that was like, well, you have to do it this way or you're gonna fail. That's not helpful. That's not going to serve you. Okay, cool. So yeah, let's say working now. You saved me Kelly says you saved me a bunch of time. Well, good. I'm glad I did. Thank you. You have no idea how long it takes me to make the simplest things. Yes, you do owe me a beer. I will. No, I'm just kidding. You don't owe me anything. I will take a beer, but you don't owe me anything. Robin says, can I share slides? My scribbles are hard to read because it went so fast. Did I have slides? I didn't have slides. I don't know what you're talking about. The necessity. Okay, so I'm going to answer the question you asked. Can you re-explain the necessity again? Yeah. So look, here's the deal. Like I kind of explained it all in the context of setting like a priority, but really necessity is just being really clear to ourselves, like in our heart even, about why a certain thing we've decided to do is important. And this goes into like, you get a project at work and you don't really buy into the project. It's just busy work. You can't be doing busy work for your author career. You have to understand the necessity. So even things that look like busy work, like checking ads spreadsheets, it sounds like busy work. No one should be doing that and having fun doing it. But if you understand the necessity of that, you will approach that task with a whole new level of awareness, of a whole new level of understanding why it's successful long term. And I'm going to make the argument that you'll do better at it because of it. So necessity is just understanding why something is necessary, like success as an author. So the questions I gave were, why is success as an author important to you? It's a big question. Like, why does this matter? So let's say you get success, you get to that point, you've determined 100K a year, fiction. That's your success. Okay, cool. Why? So it's not about the money. Why? Why does the money help? Is it freedom you want? You want to leave your job? You want your kids to be set up for a while? Raising the necessity is really just asking that question, why is this X? Why is this thing important? And then another question to ask is, what will my life look like when I achieve this? And then the question we rarely ask ourselves is, what happens if I fail? Right? So then it helps you determine, okay, well, the necessity of this is I have to succeed. Otherwise, the mafia is going to come break my knees. Okay? Now that you understand the necessity, we can help maybe redefine our success to something a little less insane, right? But you can't do that until you understand the necessity. And then if you go the next step, you raise the necessity. I hope that helps. Nicole, what's up, Nicole? What's your advice when the difficulty isn't in making the plan, but in sticking to it? How do you decide when a new project that wasn't on your plan, a new book idea, a new pen name, etc., is worth pursuing and pushing everything else down the line? Yeah, I got a good one for this. Okay, so check it out. Imagine that job that you're at, and you've got a boss they're a good person. You don't like them, you don't hate them. They're just a good person. They're a good boss, and they've determined the priorities for you. They've put it on a master plan for 2 years out. Every day, week, month, you come into work, you look at the master plan, and you get to do the thing that's on the plan. Now, it's your job, so unfortunately, you don't get to change the plan, which means you're just doing the busy work sometimes. Actually, I don't think that's a good thing we should be doing right now, but guess what? It's my job, so I'm just going to do it. With a plan like this that you get to make for your own author career, you are that boss. You get to say, here's what goes on the plan. Here's what's important. I've done the work as the boss to determine why this is important, and I've done the guesswork and the estimating and the hypothesizing to say 2 years from now, this is what's going to be important at this time. You also know as the boss that you're going to get some of those things wrong. So when you become the employee looking at that plan that you've set 3 years ago, you get to say, you know what? I don't think that's important right now. I need to put it an hour, maybe this week, 2 hours, and rework that part of the plan. Okay, does that make sense? So you basically are playing both roles, but the power here is that at both sides, the boss side and the employee side, you've determined what's important, and you've worked on it, and you've massaged it into shape, and you continuously work on it. So you're not just writing a plan and then handing it off to a team, and vice versa. You're not just taking a plan from a boss and just doing it because your job is at stake if you don't do it. So I hope that helps a little bit. Anywho. The weekends are this is fancy. Yeah, you can. It's pretty fancy, isn't it? Hey, Cam, how's it going? I use much the same thing to plan events for planning non-conference event. I use the same thing to plan events. I got you. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yeah, this isn't anything groundbreaking, right? It's just we often look at. So I use a calendar app on Mac. Actually, I use one called Fantastical, which does a little bit more juju. It's got stuff, cool stuff. But really, it's a calendar, right? We know what those look like. We have desk calendar for the whole month, weekly planners, agendas. What we often see is a whole month in advance or a whole week in advance, and even the week can be listed like tasks. But we don't often see a whole year or 6 months day by day in advance. We just don't often see that. And so I find it kind of an interesting like mindset shift to look at it top down like that and say, okay, well, I put this on I got these conferences. And so the big projects, I thought I could get them done between this date and this date, but there's just no way because I know how long it takes me to do this. And I've got a conference here and a conference there. And then I need like 2 or 3 days of recovery time before and after, right? So you start to, yourself, you can put this stuff on there. And it's just a different view. There's nothing groundbreaking about the technology here. It's just potentially going to help you because it's a different way of looking at things. Kelly, the last couple, we got 5 minutes here. Cool. Thanks, guys. I mean, thanks for putting up with me. I know this is all, like I said, it's going to feel a little discombobulated perhaps, but I've tried to take and distill and organize in the way that I approach some of this stuff. But the point is, I'm doing this every week, and I hope that every week there's at least something that you're picking up that you can try to put into practice, if not more than one thing. I'm going to do my best to make these as practical as possible, as something you can just take away right now and start doing. That's the goal. Kelly says, I'm really good with master plans, even monthly ones. I need to get better at the daily to be more realistic. Yeah, this is really just, knowing yourself, how you work, how you like to work, recognizing the hour windows. Robin, if you need some help, she's really, really good at this. Recognizing the time blocking thing, like when are you most productive and creative, okay? And when are you least? You do emails when it's least productive, and you do your writing when it's most productive, right? And I know you know that, Kelly. I'm just reminding you, just take the big project, the priority, the top of the mountain, break that down into smaller projects, but still really big ones, and then break those down into tasks, and then break those down into things you do every day. And once you start doing this and failing at it, you're going to start getting better and better and better. And pretty soon you just open your calendar. Okay, cool. I got to plan a live stream that I'm doing tomorrow. Great. You don't do it. Great. Okay, do the live stream. Great. Now what's the next thing? Right? So you just start just going down the list, and you have to build in the time to take a breath, take some rest. People use weekends for this in traditional 9-to-5 jobs. You can use weekends too. But you have to build in that time, to come up for air and to reset and to refocus and to look at your calendar. I heard somebody saying they were doing a high performance. It was probably Brendan Burchard. He was doing a high performance training, and they had done some studies on high performance and high achievers. And he found that these guys were spending up to 20 minutes. I think actually he said minimum 20 minutes a day just looking at their calendar, thinking through it, trying to make sure they're looking at the angles. Okay? Well, you can't do that if there's nothing on your calendar. So that's where the plan comes in. Okay? All right, I'm going to skip something. Learning to say no is a big one. Douglas, no. How's that? I'm pretty good at saying no, especially to you. No, that's very, very helpful. Yeah, it's a good reminder. Learning to say no is a huge one. Man, I have definitely been accused of being a yes man in my past, and it's hard because opportunities are abundant and they're out there, and people want to give you work and they want to give you stuff to do and they want to give you success. And so it feels like when you say no to certain things that you're saying no to possible success. You can't learn how to say no unless you learn the why behind it, which means you've done the hard work of finding clarity. Did I miss anything? Writing has become a side gig. Kelly, yeah, okay. So it's a good reminder. It sounds like, well, I'm not going to tell you specifically because we all need to do this. I keep saying do the hard work. It's not easy to do this. We can't just sit in a chair for 10 minutes and be like, I'm going to be a millionaire, because it literally just takes time spent in our own minds with our own journals and our own books and our own dreams and our own heart to figure out what we want to become, or I should say who we want to become. It takes time. And if you haven't done it, honestly, more than once even, you can't really know if this particular path is the one that you should be on. Okay. That's probably a good place to cut this off. If you have more questions or comments or anything like that, I'd love to see them, love to read them. I will get back to answering them later today. I need a break, and then I'll come back. But thank you again. There's people coming every week and watching this stuff and interacting, engaging. That's the key. You want to level up? You want to start somewhere? Come here. Listen to me talk. Listen to me just make stuff up, whatever it is. But use it to go forward in your career. Just be around people, be engaged with other people doing the same thing you're doing. I defy you to not level up by doing that. Okay. So thanks for coming. I hope this is helpful for everybody. Either way, come back next week. I don't know what it's going to be about, but we'll figure it out soon and I will let you know. So thank you so much and we will talk soon.